What's up, everyone? It's Gio, and there he is, Juan Carlos. We are coming to you from home, and you've probably been wondering, what have we been up to? We haven't posted much lately, and we've both been extremely busy. You know, life happens, as they say. But we've reached a milestone in Juan Carlos's immigration journey. And where are we at, Amor? What's happening?
We are about to file the I-751 form to remove conditions on my resident card.
For those of you that don't know, we have a video, we'll put a link up here, when Juan Carlos filled out his initial forms to become a resident of the United States, which is otherwise known as a green card holder. And because we were married less than 2 years at the time we filed, the government automatically gives you, as long as you're approved, of course, a conditional green card, which means it expires after 2 years, and 90 days prior to the expiration, you are required to file this I-751 form and supporting documentation. So, why are we sitting at the dining room table, Amor?
Because we had a lot of paperwork to do.
Can you see that right here? Can you see this giant stack? Yeah, this is all of the supporting documentation that we're about to mail off to USCIS. And so we sort of took over the dining room and compiled all of our information. But in general, I want to give you a down and dirty of what we did, a couple tips and tricks, because it's sometimes confusing when you look at the USCIS website and you're trying to figure this out, of what you need to file, how you need to file, how you compile. We watched a lot of YouTube videos. Hang tight for a second. I'll kind of give you a little overview of what that supporting evidence is, because you might be asking yourself, or perhaps you're going through the same process, what do I need to supply? And we'll tell you what we're sharing. We're not going to show you the actual documents for privacy purposes, but we'll let you know what we are including. So that might help you, because, you know, I think that's important, right?
Mm-hmm. Helping.
Yeah. And just like that, we're back. Hope you enjoyed that little time lapse. Amor, I'm going to say it right now. I really look forward to having our dining room table back to just for dining. Because this is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so as I said, we wanted to kind of give you some insight. And I think it's important for Juan Carlos to take a moment, since you are the one having the conditions removed. He's going to tell you everything that we had to compile to put into this 3.5 pound package that we're mailing off. And then we'll tell you how we came to decide how we're, all of our little steps and what our decisions and frustrations and all of that.
Yeah, it was a lot of editing because we had a lot of other documentation that we decided not to file. Because maybe it was a little overkill. We were checking the checklists over and over, and we were like, yeah, maybe this is not part of what we need, but this is. And we also had to add some more. So at the end, we came up with the following. Again, we're not going to show the actual documents for privacy purposes. And remember, we are not lawyers. We are not experts on immigration. This is based on our experience. So that's we can give you some advice based on our experience, but we are not experts. So what we have here is Form I-751, a check, actually two checks. One for $85 for biometrics and another one for $595. For the actual I-751.
Correct. Let me interject here too. I did a lot of research. I kept looking online. Some people said, go ahead and submit one check for the total of $680. Then other people were like, no, they're changing the system. You need to do a separate check for biometrics and a separate check for the I-751. It was all over the place. There's not one definitive answer, and the USCIS website does not delineate either. So to be safe, we're doing two.
Yes.
The worst that can happen is that somebody's got some extra work to do when they get it.
And then we also have a copy of the permanent resident, mine.
Front and back.
Yes, front and back. It's very important. Then a copy of the I-797C notice of action. Some people said that they don't get that letter. That's the letter that lets you know that you have 90 days to file your documents.
Yeah, it's a reminder letter.
Yeah.
I think the only reason we got it is because we checked a box when we initially filed to get the reminder. I think. Again, we're not experts. We just we're sharing our experience.
So we're adding it because we have it.
Yep.
And then we are also filing the Form G1145, which is a form that you're pretty much giving permission to USCIS to notify you via text message and email that they got the documents.
Correct. Yeah.
And then we also have copies of our state of Florida IDs, and then our global entry cards. We were debating about including those or not, the global entry, because it doesn't say in the documentation or in the USCIS documentation that we have to file it, but it's one of those things that's one. Let's just put it there. Why not?
Yeah, and part of our debate back and forth was part of the reason you give your identification card. So for us, for example, our Florida IDs, because we have the same address. We live in the same address, so our ID has the address on it. But we also both have global entry, so when we travel internationally, but the global entry card itself doesn't have our address. But global entry is administered by the Department of Homeland Security, and therefore that's part of this whole process. We thought it would be good. That's why we're including it.
So if you don't have one,
don't worry. The only thing you are required is to submit actual IDs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have copy of our marriage certificate and marriage license. Then copy of our shared real estate deeds.
And let me interject there. If you don't have any shared real estate, but maybe you share a home or you rental property, maybe you have your rental agreement, or maybe you have your mortgage together, or maybe you have deeded property together. Whatever you have that can help prove that you cohabitate together and or own real estate together. And in our case, we happen to own some vacation rentals. As you all know, we're huge Disney fans, so we have Disney Vacation Club. So we're sharing that.
Yes. And then copies of our shared Disney Visa credit card account and the statements as well.
Yeah.
And copy of our joint ADT security bills and latest Verizon wireless bill. So similar, you need to include copies of utility bills with your names and addresses or address together to prove that you live in the same place.
Yeah.
Copies of our joint tax filing statements for, however years you have together. We are filing 20 and 21.
So we have 2020 and 2021 joint filings. We haven't filed our 2023 because today is March 15th, 2023. So,
and then copy of a statement from our joint checking and saving accounts. We have a lot of that.
That is
the biggest section.
When you look at this giant packet, that's the majority. So literally, we're giving them the full statement of every single month from the time we were married and had our joint accounts together. So from 2020 all the way to the present, the most recent statement.
Yeah.
So,
and the reason for that is that when we were in our interview for my resident card, a lot of the questions were financial stuff. So we wanted to make sure that they had everything, like every single thing that comes in and comes out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, in our shared account, it shows all of that. It shows, the mortgage going in and out. It shows his direct deposit from his job. It shows my job, money coming in, all of our shared expenses, the housing expenses, all of the utility, all of that is in part of our joint checking account.
Yeah.
So that's important to share that.
Yes. And then we have copies of our latest joint UBS investment account. Similar, if you have any investments and they are they show both your names, then that's a good thing to present. And then we have copy of employer's proof of eligibility of benefits of a spouse. So basically what that is when I started my job, I was able to add him as my spouse to share the benefits. Mm-hmm. Of course, I wanted to do that, and it's a good thing because we can prove that our marriage, we are both adding benefits for both of us. So.
Yeah, and it's great because I'll just jump in here. Being self-employed for the last 17 years, initially I was covering benefits for him and myself, but when you're not a large employer, you're not getting the benefit of discounts and things like that. So when he got his full-time employment here with his company, and then I was able to go on his benefits, it was a huge, huge cost savings for us to have his company and him contribute to the benefits. And so all of that is there. All of the eligibility, all of our benefits that we have together, the fact that we have life insurance, for example, and we both name each other as the beneficiary. All of that documentation is included in the packet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also have copy of benefit summary of our joint medical, vision, dental, flexible spending accounts, life insurance, supplemental life, spouse life, all naming each other as beneficiaries, and retirement plan naming a spouse as beneficiary. Copies of our health insurance cards and pay stubs showing benefit deductions.
Yeah.
So that's something else that we were not quite sure to show, but I was like, yeah, I have it, so let's just put it in there, showing that whatever.
Meaning the paycheck stubs. We were like, but because it shows all of the
deductions, that
plus
supports the other documentation.
Our address as well, or on all of his pay stubs too.
Yeah.
So.
And then we have the sworn affidavits by U.S. citizens, friends, and family, attesting to our relationship and marriage.
Correct.
We have 6. They only asked for 2, I think.
I think they asked for 3.
Okay, so we have 6, just because.
Yeah, we had friends and family.
They are not notarized.
Yeah, they're all notarized. And by the way, if you're wondering about this form, everything that we have submitted prior to these, up to this point, that's been copies.
Yes.
USCIS requires the originals of the affidavits.
But that's the only thing.
That's the only thing that they require.
And obviously the
the form, the I-751 form. So just FYI, if you're doing affidavits, make sure you send the original.
And then we have copies of various hotel reservations, airline tickets, and cruise line bookings.
Yeah.
So that's just basically copies of whenever we had a vacation together, which is all the time. We all only take vacation together.
Right.
We are sending copies of reservation bookings, all of that to prove again that our relation it's
legitimate.
Yes. And then finally we have photographs of various life events, travels, and special occasions in chronological order from our wedding in 2020 to present.
Yeah.
And also added screen captures of our shared YouTube channel, this one.
That you're watching.
And social media card.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's most important is that if you're filing the I-751 to remove conditions and you're doing it like us as a married couple, it's from the time you were married to when you're to when you file. So everything that happened since you got married. So all of the stuff you supplied prior when your initial filing of the green card, some of it is duplicate, but majority of it's not. Because what they want to see is, okay, since we gave you your conditional approval, now show us that yes, everything that we conditionally approved you on is true and accurate, and we need to see all the documentation to prove that from that point forward. So, like I said, 3.5 pounds later, it's a lot of documents. I think the majority, like I said, the majority
is financial, and
is
then
financial.
Photos.
Yeah,
a lot of photos
all of those bank statements take up a lot. And initially, we were I'll tell you some of our pitfalls because, like I said at the beginning, we had purchased this cute little binder because we were like, oh, we'll put it all together, tabs, make it nice. And then even as we were putting everything and compiling it, we were flipping through. he was having a meltdown because the pages kept getting stuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, if I was the officer getting this binder, I'd be frustrated. And then lo and behold, I discovered online, USCIS says, do not
Send a binder.
send a binder. Do not use staples. Do not staple anything. The only thing you can use is either paper clips or the little small binder clips to put your pages together. The reason for that is apparently when they receive this package, somebody at USCIS is going to feed it into a machine where they're going to scan all of that. And if you make it difficult for them,
They are gonna reject.
or things are going to get lost. They're
Yeah,
going
that
to,
too.
if you don't make it easy. So then we went to the office store because I was going to put it in a big. These are big envelopes, but guess what?
It's not big enough.
Not big enough. They're not going to fit.
And we were thinking maybe doing like 2 sections, but I was like, I don't know if that's a great idea. And then again, he
Yeah.
was watching some other videos, and people are like, we're just putting it inside the box.
Yeah, we're not the only one. I was reading one lady, her package weighed 5 pounds. So they were like, either get a USPS box, or for us, we're using FedEx because for my business, I have a FedEx account. So we're using a medium box. All of our stuff fits perfectly in here with a little extra room. So we're going to stuff some packing material so that it doesn't bounce around. The other thing we were going to do, and we saw a lot of people do, is they bought Post-it notes, these little stickies.
I have no patience.
And
with
even
that.
the website indicates that you can, to help the officers, notate all of the documents that are in here. But as we started doing that, these things, I don't know, it just seemed like it was much more complicated and that they were going to fall off. And when we put it in the box,
And they only have like this little space after the sticky part.
Yeah.
And then you have to like make it stick out, right? To read it. And it was like just this little space to write something. I was like, I have no patience
yeah.
for that.
so we opted, no, we're not going to do that. But what we do have is we did prepare a cover letter. And the cover letter highlights everything that's in the packet. But in addition to the cover letter, rather than using the little Post-it notes, each section, what we did is we put this, for example, and I can show this. It says documents in this section. And so this little piece has the 2 personal checks. I wrote the amount of each check, both made payable to the United States Department of Homeland Security, the Form G1145, the Form I-751, copy of his permanent resident card, front and back, copy of the I-79C notice of action, copies of our Florida IDs, front and back, copies of our global entry card, front and back, copies of our marriage certificate and marriage license. So there you go. So now the officer has this. It's in a little clip. That's everything that's in this section. And then we have all of our supporting documentation, which supports our marriage and shows that we are legitimate and we are legal.
And then
again,
all the other sections have
the same thing.
the same thing.
So each little clip, we wrote it out, bullet pointed, so that the officer going through this packet knows exactly what he or she is looking at. So I think we've made it as simple and easy as possible. And as a reminder, as Juan Carlos said, we are not legal experts. We're not attorneys. We're just sharing our own personal experience in hopes it'll help you, because for whatever reason, there's not a lot of really good information online about filing these forms.
I mean, he found a lot of good videos on YouTube, but these things change from time to time. So sometimes the videos are not showing the latest. Like probably our video will be outdated in a couple.
Yeah,
years
so
or
if you're
whatever.
watching this a year from now, by the way, today again, just as a reminder, we are March 14th, 2023.
And we are filing the
version.
Yes, the Form I-751 edition 12.
2/19.
Exactly. And
So they haven't updated the form since 2019, but it is important. They may do that. There's always changes happening. But they do update other things. For example, maybe the biometrics fee changes, or maybe the filing fee. Actually, the filing fee went up from the time we initially did our first application for his residency to now. So anyway. And we are paying a little extra money for the added security. We're using FedEx rather than doing it ground. We're going to send it overnight. So that's us. We're going to, we can do it for the peace of mind so that we get a notification that they've received it and we know that it made it there safely. So that's important to us. So those are our little tips and tricks with regard to filing I-751.
Yeah. Start doing this process early. Don't wait until the last time because it's a lot. And the more you read, the more you find. So you don't want to be rushing, especially if you're almost at the 90 days due date.
Yeah, we gave ourselves a nice buffer. We actually started.
We are starting in November.
His card doesn't expire until the middle of April. Actually, tax date, April 15th.
Yes.
So we're filing 1 month out from the expiration. We could have probably filed even earlier, but we've both been busy with work, and we just wanted to make sure all of our T's were crossed and our I's were dotted, and that we got it all together. And even sitting here, I discovered there's a little typo in the cover letter. I got to fix that before we mail it. But anyway, how do you feel now that it's finally going out?
I feel relieved.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Yeah, excited to get this done. And a year from now, I hope I can be ready for citizenship.
Citizenship, yeah, because that'll be our 3-year mark since he received his green card. We're back in the waiting game now, folks. So we'll keep you posted. But at least we feel good about everything.
Today is day one.
Yes, today is day one. And to be honest, we're not concerned about anything because we know we're legit. You guys know we're legit. All of you who have been watching us, thanks. We appreciate it.
1 week later.
Hey everyone, so we're jumping back in here, interrupting the flow of a video because we have a USCIS update to everything that we've been talking about so far. What you got in your hands there, Moore?
I got 3 letters.
Yes,
and
you do.
They are coming from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. One of these is to let us know that they received the paperwork, and they also cashed the checks, both of them. The other one is they created an online account so we can register and follow up the process online.
And you don't have to do...
Yes, and I don't have to do the biometrics, fingerprints, photos, all that. They can reuse it. But they will not return the money. So you paid for it, but...
We still paid for it and they're keeping that cash.
That's fine. I'm happy that I don't have to do it again. And the third one, the most important one, is the letter for an extension of my current permanent resident card or green card, because it's about to expire. So with this letter, even if it's expired, I have an extension, 48 months, so I can still travel outside of the country, and I just have to carry my card and this letter.
Which is so exciting. And the cool thing is, and we'll show you, I can show you right here. We got personal information blocked, but if you look, U.S. immigration, let me block me. But anyway, the date on the letters is actually March 24th, and they received everything on March 17th. So that means literally 1 week later.
Yeah, just 1 week.
They mailed those out. So that's really an encouraging sign for us. And the Vermont office is handling his case. So I went online and I looked up the Vermont office to see what their processing times are for the I-751. And currently, as of, actually we're now the beginning of April, 20 months or less is what it says. So that's a good sign that they did it quickly. So the good news is that you've got that letter, which is the extension of 48 months on your green card, which is very, very cool. Love it. Anyway, so with that being said, we will keep you posted whenever we receive the actual green card, and we'll be in a very celebratory mood whenever that happens. But our next step in the process next year is to file for citizenship.
Yep.
Very cool.
Then we'll be done.
Then we'll be done. Exactly. Anyway, back to us in the past. Thanks. If you're new to the channel and you're just finding us because of this, we appreciate you being here.
And watch more videos. There's a ton everywhere.
Go. There's a lot of cool videos on our channel of our adventures at Disney, our adventures in Costa Rica, adventures in California.
Or just life.
Life in general. So anyway, from us to you, as we always say, happiness is
A lifestyle.
and we appreciate you watching. And if you got any questions, put them below in the comment section or give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe. Be nice. Yeah?
Por favor.
And a thumbs up too. Anyway, until next time, everyone.